Alright. This is drink number 1.
Drink number 1.
Let's see how this goes.
Alrighty then. Drink number 2.
Cheers.
Drink number 5. Fucked it.
I think we're on drink number 7. Hello. We are on drink number, I don't know,
9.
8, 9.
9.
Flex it.
Welcome to Mythbusters Sim Racing Edition. Today I'm attempting an experiment to understand how driving under the influence affects your driving ability. While we all know driving under the influence is extremely dangerous in real life, I'm testing this myth in a controlled and virtual environment. And before we dive into today's experiment, let me just make one thing crystal clear. Driving under the influence of alcohol is incredibly dangerous and illegal. My goal is to see how alcohol affects driving performance in a simulated environment, not to downplay its dangers in real life. So let's break down how we're going to test this myth. We'll be using my sim rig, and where we'll conduct a test comparing how alcohol affects various types of drivers. So you'll have me in the hot seat as an amateur, semi-professional sim racer.
What's that, brother?
Then my friend Budley, who's a complete beginner but understands the concept of sort of sim racing. First, we'll set a lap time sober, and then we'll have a drink and set another lap time after sort of 15 to 20 minutes of the drink settling in. And then we'll just continue to drink and see how the lap times go, I guess. So that's pretty much it. Let's jump into some videos and see how it all went. All right, so let's hop on board for my friend of mine's baseline hot lap attempt with no alcohol in our system. Nothing special here from either of us. It's not our fastest laps by far, but a fairly good representation of what an average-ish lap time for either of us kind of looks like. We're looking back at the replay on mine especially. I take the usual lines I would normally take to some degree of accuracy. I'm not really making too many adjustments or inputs on the steering, so once I've decided to take that specific line, I'm pretty much sticking to it. Again, it's kind of everything you would expect from a sober driver. Right, let's speed up some of this footage and get straight to the end of our sober laps. So you've got a 1:30.082 for myself and a 1:34.957 for Bully. Again, not our fastest laps by far, but let's have a look to see how much they differ after there's a few drinks in our system. All right, so here is our first set of hot lap attempts with some alcohol in our system. So on the left, you got my friend and I with, one shot, waiting 15 to 20 minutes and then hopping on the rig and trying our fastest lap. And then after that, once we completed the first set of laps, had another drink and then again waited sort of that 15 to 20 minutes before attempting the second lap times. So let's see what lap times we got as we approach the line. So for myself, a 1:29.737 with drink number 1 and Bully a 1:34.375, which both are actually quite a bit faster than with no alcohol. However, we look at the second laps, we're about a second and a half slower than our original baseline hot lap attempt. So you can definitely see on that second glass, the alcohol seemed to definitely settle into our systems. Alright, so here we are. We're now 4 drinks in and a hot lap attempt. So initially with me, mounting the grass, never hit the grass before on that, so yeah, can't really judge my braking distance or my turning angles. You can see both of us making loads of alterations in sort of the steering wheel as we're driving through the corners and making adjustments. And Bully here, if you have a look, turns left randomly and then brings the car back to the right. This part I found trickiest, when I was drunk. You can see I completely missed the braking point, hit the cone on the inside, almost spit it coming around the corner of the chicane. Losing a huge amount of time. But yeah, really tricky bit. Very, very difficult under the influence. Really wide angle for me there. Bit better from Bully, nice and close. And again, yeah, a bit late on the brakes from me. Not using all the curbs. Yeah, overall much slower. A 1:32.9, almost 3 seconds off the pace for myself. And Bully looking about a second slower on his as well. Alright, so we are on drink number 7, last sector here by Bully. Hitting the cone on the inside, sending that to space. Getting a huge amount of lock around this one. And again, catching the grass too much. Has to save it from crashing out. Slamming the brakes as hard as he possibly could. And just look at the lock on the wheel. Still doesn't manage to make the corner because he just isn't letting go of the accelerator. At this point, you know, it's really tricky to work out what you want to do when you want to do it. So, yeah, you can definitely tell the alcohol is settled in at this point. Huge amount of lock, and like, look how much row there is still on the left. But, you know, super proud of that lap. Victory lap by him. Great job.
Wow, fuck it.
Alright, listen folks,
Well done.
I can tell you right now, there is no possible way that I'm able to drive.
Awesome. So the results are in. Let's have a look and see how we both did. I've converted the lap times into seconds as it was a little bit easier to plot it on a graph. And you may just need to pause the video here briefly so you can have a look at the results properly. So initially, you can see my drinks 1 and 3 in comparison to my baseline were actually slightly faster, which quite surprising, actually. I think this is just mainly due to I'd been familiar with the track. It was probably 4 laps in at this point, and the drink probably fully hadn't kicked in. But yeah, every other lap was much slower than my baseline, with the closest being sort of 7/10 and, you know, the worst being almost 3 seconds slower, which is a huge amount on such a short track. With Budley, yeah, pretty much every one of his other than drink 1 was slower than his baseline. So pretty much what we expected. You can see the averages were just going up from the trend line. So yeah, alcohol definitely affects your driving ability, which is not hugely surprising. Here's a quick comparison as well of the first 4 drinks and the last 4 drinks and how it affected lap times. So first 4 for me were about a second off, and then at the end it was sort of 1.5, 1.6 seconds. With Bully, didn't affect him on the first few as much, with being sort of 3-4 tenths off, and the last 4 he was about 10 seconds off the pace. So big difference. Awesome. So the results speak for themselves, I think, you know, and if they don't, it is clearly not safe to drink and drive. You know, we had the luxury of doing this on a sim rig in a virtual environment. There's not really any cars on track with the way that we were racing. We were just doing hot lap attempts, so it was just the walls and the grass to crash into. And even if we did crash, like, this isn't real life, so we're not going to hurt anyone and we're not going to impact anyone's lives. So don't obviously drink and drive. You know, we were testing this just as fun between my friend and I. But yeah, you can clearly see from the results, it's significantly slower to drink and drive. Thanks all, hope you enjoyed the video.